Equipment operating costs.
Equipment operating costs.
Welcome to ProfitDig Live.
Live, baby. Live.
We're glad you're here with us.
Yep.
And for you guys, it is not live. But for us, it's very live.
It's very live.
It's
Yep.
very live right
It always has been. It's just a cooler name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go we can decide on construction or radio. And
You know, I could never remember.
We've used both
Yeah.
simultaneously. So like
Simultaneous.
so it's, I don't know. Yeah. We did a poor job there of branding the YouTube channel. That's okay. Because we were just ProfitDig Live.
We're fixing it now.
We got it. Yeah.
All right. So we were discussing off camera about equipment operating costs
Equipment operating costs.
and how you might be able to understand what your equipment operating costs are. So,
And let's start at the basics here.
yeah.
Let's just say I'm a small contractor, and let's just say I might have a backhoe, diesel engine truck,
Yeah. What are you looking
yeah,
at?
what am I looking at?
Well, it's all operating costs. I mean, it doesn't matter. And you got to look at it, from the perspective of, this one machine and the purpose it's going to serve. Your truck, it could be a lowboy. That's going to be moving these machines from job site to job site, place to place, whatever it may be, picking up rental equipment, dropping off rental equipment, whatever that aspect may be. So there's different ways to figure as far as what your equipment cost is.
Now, do you bundle transportation costs into your operating costs, or do you treat that as a separate line item?
Well, like when I'm doing a bid, when I'm putting my cost in for my bid, I've got my mobilization item that I've got set up. So my low boy and stuff will fall under, mobilization. And you've got to be able to look at a project and see, is it going to be one mobilization and one demobilization? Or is this got phases? Is it going to be multiple mobilizations and demobilizations? And when you look at mobilizations, you got to be able to know for this particular bid. And when you're bidding a job, you got to really consider the equipment and manpower you're going to need to put this project in. Mm-hmm. So is it going to be 2 pieces of equipment? Is it going to be 4 pieces of equipment? Is it going to be 6 pieces of equipment? You don't know how many pieces of equipment it's going to take until you start digging into it, to see, what it's going to take you to complete this job. So at that point, therefore, you will have, if you've got, just say 6 pieces of equipment, that's 6 separate mobilizations. That's a mobilization per each piece of equipment. That low boy's going to be running down the road. He's going to go to one job, pick up equipment, and move it to this job, or he's going to go to the shop, grab equipment, and bring it to this job, or he's going to go down the road to a rental store and pick up rental equipment because all your other equipment's tied up. So you got to move them in, and when you get done, you got to move them out.
Yep.
So we do a mobilization and a demobilization. And, like if just say you're working downtown Nashville, say you're 2nd, 3rd, 4th Avenue, working somewhere in that area, well, it's going to be really congested and going to be a tight job site. So you may have to go in and do a portion of your work and then move out to give room for somebody else to come in.
You might have multiple mobilizations and demobilizations.
Right, for this one particular job. So, without just pinpointing a specific job, I guess that's what I'm trying to explain, that there may be variations depending on what job you're
You can't really account for that as a regular operating cost.
Yeah.
And, the goal is to cover your lowboy tractor and trailer under your mobilization cost. You really don't want to get to the point where you're carrying that in your overhead, because it's really going to throw your overhead off. I mean, it's expensive to run that lowboy up and down the road. So I mean, it can, if you classify it under overhead, it can really throw your actual overhead off.
Yeah. So if you're looking at a piece of equipment, you're thinking fuel costs,
Maintenance costs,
maintenance
Tires,
costs,
oil change,
oil changes, breakdowns.
Brakes.
Yeah.
Brakes. Yeah. You operate.
Yeah.
Anything that is wearing out while using this vehicle.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and that's where, like I've asked people and, several people in the past, especially like new and upcoming contractors, what does it cost you to run that piece of equipment?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately say, well, I charge this. That's not what I'm asking. What does it cost you? And 9 times out of 10, if they haven't worked for someone or been involved in what it takes to actually figure out what that piece of equipment costs them to operate, then they have no idea. They're just trying to go off a market rate.
Yeah.
Is that man? That seems like sorry, Chris.
It's okay.
You go ahead.
No, that's all right.
I feel like a jerk now.
Well, no, it's just fine. I'm always just like, obviously we have an application, ProfitDig, we're ProfitDig.com, but just using the application itself, there is no magic pill for creating the perfect construction bid, or no application where you can go push a few buttons and create the perfect construction bid, but the whole process of configuring your account with all of your company assets forces you to think about this stuff.
Right.
So,
But I work in engineering.
yeah.
And so risk assessments are common things that you deal with in engineering. And I'm just thinking like there should be some sort of metric or KPI associated with a piece of equipment. Like whether it truly exists or not, I can envision one that's called like the equivalent operating cost or something like that. And it's from the manufacturer saying the life cycle of this equipment plus the maintenance recommendations, because with any vehicle you're going to get recommended service like annual or every 6 months. Intervals,
And services,
whatever the interval
different
is.
things have to be.
And I would think there's some sort of factor to calculate in with that, like including fuel. Now you don't. The manufacturer, I mean, a lot of them are made in like Japan or Mexico, China. So they won't know our fuel costs, but they will know how much fuel is required.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a calculation there.
There, and a lot of your dealers, they have, especially Cat. Cat's got a book out. It shows their estimated operating cost for this machine.
Estimated operating cost.
Yes, and that's
The EOC.
yeah, and it's a fair like a fair market type cost, but there again, it's going to be job specific.
Yeah.
A lot of your equipment and stuff, you may run harder on this job than you did the previous job.
Yeah. It's like the car manufacturer
Right.
that estimate miles per gallon. Your car will never reach, unless it is perfect driving conditions.
Yeah.
And terrain. It may be you've got a really hilly job. Like say you're doing some massive cuts, and then you may have a job that's kind of flat, and you're just like knocking the top off of it here and there. So your equipment's not going to burn near as much fuel just doing the easy work as it does doing the hard work.
Yeah.
So you've got to kind of break it down, and that's what we do. We break it down to an hourly cost or daily cost, which depends on how many hours you work on average. If your crew works an 8-hour day, a 9-hour day, 10-hour day, whatever that may be, you've got to be able to compensate an hourly cost to be able to charge that out, as far as your estimating goes. And of course, you want to be conservative when you're bidding a job. You don't want to get to the point where as soon as you start a job, you're worried, like, what if I don't have enough time in this job? Your materials are irrelevant. Your materials cost you what your materials going to cost you. If you and I bid against each other, our material pricing are going to be within 1 or 2% of each other.
Right.
And it's
They're calling the same people you're calling.
right, exactly.
Yeah, but you need to set your verification dates in ProfitDig just to make sure that you're keeping your raw cost up
Up to date, yeah, sure. But it's all in my vision, your vision, as far as how I see this project going in, how much time I think it's going to take. And you may see it going slower than I do, or maybe faster than I do. And so that's how you win and lose bids a lot of time is based off of your labor cost or your equipment cost. It's because I think I can do it this fast.
Yeah.
Right.
And, but there again, materials are going to cost the same. So, your materials are irrelevant. So it's based on how quick or how efficient you can be in from start to finish put this project in.
Yeah, but I would say that, like, in terms of equipment and even employees, right? Like, you're talking about how efficiently you can complete the job, man hours, equipment hours. I don't know if does that impact the operating costs
It does.
itself?
It does. And it's like,
Because that's an hourly rate, right? Just like
That's
a
an hourly
salary,
rate.
or just like an hourly rate for an employee.
and, but that equipment, once you make that purchase, if that equipment sits on your yard, it still costs you the same amount of time or same amount of cost to
Treat it
sit
like an
there.
employee.
Yeah, than it does, to be out, actually doing productive work. And, a lot of times you can go by like some of these big sites, you see them on the side of the road, up and down interstates, and you see all this equipment working, then you see like, there's 7, 8 pieces of equipment sitting still,
Not making money.
not making money.
No, not
Yeah,
doing
it may be, and that's part of it. Sometimes they have to sit still for a day or two, but if they're sitting still, constantly, for long periods of time, those pieces of equipment need to get off that job and get to a job that they can be productive.
Yeah.
But getting back to the basics of figuring your equipment cost,
Let's take a step back.
I mean, you've got to know what it costs you to run that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to look at what the purchase price of that equipment is, because in 5 to 7 years, you're going to do a lot of maintenance on that equipment, so you've got to figure that in. And most time, it's a percentage. You can do the math on it. Usually, it's like a 15% cost.
On
for maintenance on average.
But there is no magic number. There's no
Don't
way.
imagine that.
Yeah.
But and like if you sell that piece of equipment or have to replace it in say 5 years, well, you got to kind of look at the inflation and the rate it's going. It may be 15-20% more expensive 5 years down the road than what it was the day you bought it.
Hey.
So that's got to be a factor.
Thank God shrinkflation is not a factor. You have these little tiny backhoes.
Yeah.
It'll take you forever. You got to have like 5 of them. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All of that goes into
Lawnmower.
all of that has to go into your calculation, to figure your cost. Of course, you got your operator. Some people will figure the operator in their labor costs, and that's fine. Some people will figure their operator as part of their equipment cost, and that's fine also. It's just how you and your business is set up.
As long as it's being accounted for.
just as long as it's been accounted for.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got your fuel. When I figure fuel pricing, I always figure my fuel cost at 15 to 20% more than what the market price is today,
Because you never know, right?
because you never know.
Yeah.
And-
And that's interesting. Sorry to interrupt, but it's talking about including your operator in with your equipment costs. Like that could be a really good move for the small contractor, because let's say I have one operator. Well, I'm paying him. So he should be included with my equipment cost. That is always, the clock is always ticking. That is costing me money, because he may not always be operating that piece of equipment. We may have something else going on, and he's having to help me do something else entirely.
But
by
again-
including him, and if I'm accounting for that in my overall costs together, that would cover me.
But the downside of that is, and I don't do that just for this reason.
That's a really good point.
Well, you did, but
Okay.
you also in that same statement you elaborate on what I'm about to say is like,
Okay.
if that machine's not moving, you got to pay him to do something else. So if you don't have his labor costs figured into what he's actually doing, then that's a direct cost.
Yeah.
true.
That's something that hasn't been accounted for.
That's true.
You got him sitting on this machine, he's not moving in your cost.
Yeah.
But he's out here doing physical labor. You're still paying him for.
Setting on that machine.
Yeah, because he's not sitting on that machine.
Right.
That machine's sitting still, so now you're
Yeah.
paying him out of pocket.
Yeah.
We call that a dingle hopper. No, dingleberry.
Dingle.
Yeah. He's just sitting out there unaccounted for,
But if you're in the market for a new machine,
Go to the doctor for that.
Probably should.
or if you've got machines already and you're not sure, what your cost is, I would recommend contacting your local dealer, talk to them, help them to help you figure it out. I don't mind answering an email or a call. Reach out to us. I'll help you do the best I can. To figure out what your operating cost is.
That's at ProfitDig.com.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned Cat and Train have an estimated operating cost.
Yeah, they do. They have
I mean,
looked
maybe
this
it's not
stuff out.
perfect, but if
Sure.
you have no idea, you
Yeah,
just
it's a
bought
good
piece of
place to
equipment.
start.
Might as
But
well.
at that point, that you've got to start doing some evaluation measures to figure out if it's going to be an adequate cost for you. You've got you're going to have to really calculate your time, your fuel, maintenance, and stuff of that sort, over a period of time to do the math on it and see if, that estimated cost is accurate, for your setup.
Yeah.
And if you're tracking your costs in a tool like ProfitDig,
Then you know exactly what it costs.
you can see if you're making money or losing money on those line
And that's the
items.
whole point. ProfitDig isn't designed to tell you what that magic number is in the beginning.
Not yet.
It's about putting your information in, and then it will.
Yeah,
You-
maybe,
you
maybe
provide
someday we can get to some machine learning algorithms and some AI powered
Yeah.
suggestions.
But that again, that's difficult based on the types of jobs,
Yeah.
is then how things are being used. But you're exactly right, and that was the point I was trying to make. Is that, and I was just going to add that because the vast majority of our users, if not all of our users, came to us from other applications. They were using something else, decided it wasn't working for them, and they're using ProfitDig. If you're a guy or gal who hasn't used anything and you are just getting started, let us know. Contact us at ProfitDig.com. Just shoot us your information and we'll happily provide you I'd say a steep discounted rate to get you started.
Yeah, maybe a little tutorial.
And tutorial, yeah.
But yeah, you definitely need something in place to be able to track your cost, because if you're not tracking your cost, you truly don't know what it costs you to operate.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's hard for you to give a good, accurate bid and make money.
Yeah.
And in some sense, you see contractors out here that have been in business for 10, 15, 20 years,
And have it grown.
haven't grown. They're still the same size they were.
Yeah.
Now, some of that may be by design. They may not want to grow, but for the most part, it's like because they never get ahead on their capital to grow.
Yeah.
And it's because they're not calculating enough cost into their equipment to be able to make that extra money, that extra profit, to where you can grow your business.
Grow, expand, buy that piece of equipment, pay cash.
But
So look back at your operating costs
Check it out.
regularly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this, to me, is one of the most important things you can do as a construction company is know what it costs you to operate.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, God dang it, guys. What a good one. I appreciate this. This is awesome. It's been a minute. Hey, we're back.
Yeah.
ProfitDig Live. That's the new name.
Feels good.
Officially, as of like an hour ago, it's Jeff G's idea. We love it. Yeah, we're gonna rebrand. This is it. It's a do-over.
You can take credit if you
Yeah.
want.
All right, man. George,
It was-
got to redo the intro to the videos, man.
All of them.
Well, not all. Of them.
No, it's just going on. Moving forward.
I'm in more the new stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's okay. I like it.
I guess to George is our video.
Our video editor, she does wonderful work. Yes. So,
you, Georgia.
yeah. But hey, listen, thank you for joining us. Glad you were here at ProfitDig Live. Check us out, ProfitDig.com. If you're looking for a low-cost solution, it's practically free to create bids and manage your job costs. Check us out, ProfitDig.com. We'll see you there, guys.